initial going live to YouTube looks like. So we'll just smile and do our thing. And then I'll start the recording. And at the end, when we're finished recording, just stay on. And so we'll just smile. We're live on YouTube. Hey, anyone who hops on, this is our at the end when we're finished recording.
It's like a bad echoey.
Yeah, let me mute that. There we go. So anyone who's watching live, this is my first time live on YouTube. So this is a really exciting day, and we're doing a Max Potential Habits podcast episode. So if you're ready, Tonya, we will start recording and we'll get going on podcast. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another week of the Max Potential Habits podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Amanda Barrientes, the founder of NFA Coaching, and this is your place to come every week for tips, tools, and inspirational interviews to help you optimize your habits so you can thrive in life and business. And I'm super looking forward to this conversation. I met Tonya Hoffman, the CEO and co-founder of BeeKonnected, recently through networking. And when her and I had a conversation on Zoom, I was like, okay, this is incredible. You are a powerhouse businesswoman. First, in the way that you've built multiple businesses. She's the founder of the Public Speakers Association, an 8-time best-selling international author, has been on the cover of 5 magazines, and has won multiple yearly awards from national and international organizations and events. So this is a woman that you want to tap into, stop what you're doing and listen to what she has to say, because she's been there, done that, and continues to build awesome organizations. And she's going to bring you tips today to talk about how to create growth and momentum in your business through multiple ways that we like to talk about as entrepreneurs. So welcome to the show today, Tonya.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. All right. I want to get a little bit into your backstory that I actually don't know all about. I just know about your powerhouse results in the current moment, but share with listeners, how did you start into, even was speaking the first thing for you in the entrepreneur world?
Oh, I wish, I think like a lot of people, we kind of go through life and you're like, how in the world did I get here?
Totally.
Yeah, I started off at 25 with retail stores. I bought a retail store, and then my husband and I turned into multiple locations, and then retail is just, retail. And so we finally decided to get out of that. And then we're like, what do we do now? And, you go through life and you hit the biggest challenges is always those personal development things, right? It's those moments that you're like, I am too old to be standing in front of 5 lovely ladies shaking and sweating because I don't want to talk in front of people. You're like, got to get over that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the number one fear, right?
Oh, it was mine. I know, that and the sound of my own voice. I think a lot of people are like, oh, if I just sounded so pretty or whatever, you're like, whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, so for you then, stepping into that part of wanting to empower yourself as a speaker caused you to want to help other people to do it?
Well, it wasn't even I started going to networking groups. So I joined in 2005, 52 networking groups, associations, organizations.
Wow.
A little bit of a go-getter. But when I find something that's working for my business, I just kind of go all in. And in that, you start seeing people stand up and do elevator pitches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Painful. I mean, how many can relate to me on that? I'm like, you have to say how much.
Dislike them,
right?
Especially when you've got the pressure of like 30 seconds. You've got to give an elevator pitch in 30 seconds about everything in your business. It's like my brain just goes into almost freeze mode.
Yes,
yeah. Totally.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I stood up, I'm like, I don't even remember who I am. You just have this. I don't know what I'm doing, and you realize that those that were really effective stood out and demanded the room without being demanding, right? I think there's that fine line. And so then I started seeing people stand in front of the room and speak and tell people about their business and do a little training. And then I started going to trainings, and I'm like, this is really effective. You can, instead of just one-on-one, you're talking to one-to-many. And I'm like, love that idea. But again, it's kind of hard to stand in front of people if you're shaking and everything. So I started my first business networking group to get over that. I figure if I have to stand up every Friday morning in front of, 20 people, I was going to eventually get over speaking in front of people, right? And so I just kept pushing myself. And that's when I came up with my very first, and still to this day, my biggest goal every year. And people think it's weird that I don't have a different goal, but not that I don't have business goals and projection goals and all of that, but the hardcore goal is to look back at myself a year later and not recognize myself from the year before. Because that requires you to do things that you're like, I can't believe I just did that, right? It forces you to say yes to things that you normally would have never said yes to.
Absolutely. I think that's an incredible yearly goal. I mean, right? Because in a year, I know there's that saying that we overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we could, or maybe the other way around, what we can do in 10 years. But I've dramatically changed myself a year at a time. So it's like you can look back 1 year ago and go, holy moly, look what I've created in the year and look who I've transformed into, and look at all the growth, all the tools, all the skills, all the people. Like, that's a powerful goal. I love that.
Yeah, because a lot of times people look at it and they're like, oh my gosh, you just spoke in front of 1,000 people. Weren't you scared? And I'm like, it's not as scared anymore. When you've done something so many times, it becomes natural and it becomes easier. It still isn't easy, but it's easier because you know what the result's going to be. And when you get out of your head and you stop making it about you and you start making it about others, that's when there's massive change for yourself. It's kind of a weird backwards thing, is when you really go out there to serve others, it's not about your own experiences. It's about what's the experiences for other people.
Okay. I think everyone listening needs to rewind and play that again, because it's funny, we're live on YouTube right now, but this will be podcast episode. So if you're listening right now, rewind that. And really, if you're stuck in your business somewhere right now, remember to start focusing on the people that you're serving. And it causes such a big energetic shift, because then you get out of your own way and you realize, I'm just here to teach. I'm just here to help other people. I'm here to serve. And then it takes away that nervous fear place, especially in public speaking.
Yeah. And even like in sales, right? Because
totally.
A lot of times I just wrote this lady because she was like, I don't get it. Nobody is interested in what I'm doing. And I'm like, well, stop being about you, because you can see her whole message was about her and what she wanted and everything was about her. And I said, tell them stories, tell them why you're so excited, and then get out of the way, right? Be there for that person. And now you stop selling them and you're actually listening to them. And what can you do for them?
Yeah. And that's another key, right? You just said something so important. Listen to them.
Yes.
I think it's hilarious when on LinkedIn a lot, people will message me like just this long message of all the things they want to sell to me. And they haven't even tried to build any rapport. They have no idea if I want that. And I just go, what are you thinking? This doesn't work. You've got to ask questions and let's get to know each other. Let's connect. Let's understand. And it's fascinating to me that it's kind of like sales 101.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Everything is always, too many times people have gotten, for whatever reason, and I think a lot of it came from the internet, is we felt like we could just post a website and people will just buy from us and we don't ever have to talk to anybody again.
Yeah.
And so the whole idea of building relationships was went out the window. And I think that is really where the missing key is that people stop wanting to build relationships and just wanted a quick sell. And to me, that beats the reason for serving people.
Yeah, completely. And yeah, so always asking what's in it for them and shifting the spotlight away from yourself onto them, asking questions, super powerful. Will you give, because you're such a powerhouse speaker and you've developed, how many years were you doing Public Speakers Association?
Well, I launched it in 2013 and then I just sold it in March. So had a great time.
So you've got amazing tips. So I'd love for you to share some tips with listeners about, just some 101 speaking highlights of, if you're new and scared, what can people do? Because right now, I mean, there's such a huge opportunity for people, even in the speaking world, of just making their own videos. And I think people are terrified of it. It's scary at first. So what are some good tips for listeners?
So realize, and this is one of the big shifts for myself, is that I went from thinking that I had to please the whole audience. Mm-hmm. And when I realized that I didn't, that 25% of the people are immediately not going to like me. So this is on YouTube, this is on an actual presentation, this is wherever you're at. 25% of the people just are like, blah. And what you have to understand, it's a good thing. Because those 25% of the people who don't like you, who will never like you, who will never get what you're saying, you don't like them either. So who cares? Get over it. The other 25% love you. They're ready for you. They're ready to do whatever you're suggesting. They're like hanging on to hear your next word, right? Those are the people you focus on. The other 50% just hasn't decided yet. They'll either come over to one camp or the other, and it may take them 8 years, you know? So be patient with those people, but focus on that 25% at the top, because that's where your immediate income, your immediate information, your immediate everything will, you know, turn and translate into.
That's a really valuable tip, because I think when you're trying to speak to an entire audience and please everyone, it's impossible, like you're saying, and then it puts this undue stress. And I think it also relates to that almost imposter syndrome, perfectionism, where you're like trying to make everyone happy and you can't do it. And you just go, I don't need to know everything. I don't need to please everyone. Let's just speak to the 25% that actually really, really, really enjoy my message.
Yeah. And that way you can actually be yourself. You know, because you can feel it when people aren't themselves, you know, especially on stage or on YouTube or wherever. You feel when someone's BSing or when someone's trying to pretend, because I've done it. I think everyone's done it at some point where you're like, I have to be perfect, you know, and you come across as, what is wrong with that person? And I remember the day that it changed for me. I was doing a webinar very much like this, right? And I was just exhausted trying to be a speaker. And so instead, I was just like, I'm just gonna go out there. I'm just gonna be myself. I don't care anymore what people think. And as soon as I did that, the whole world like opened up. It's like the blossom just went bloom, and people are like calling me and they're like, oh my gosh, you were so great today. What happened? You were so on. Oh my gosh. And I was like, people wanted me? Really? I mean, it was just like, it was so unbelievable to me, right?
Yeah, it cracks me up because I think back to like my very first videos, and it's not like that you're not even really trying to put on a performance. It's just that you're scared and you don't totally know what you're doing. And so it comes across as like inauthentic, maybe, even though you're trying so hard to figure out how to just even be on camera. I mean, it was like, it took me 25 takes to make like a 5-minute video. And it was, when I go back and look at it, I'm like, oh, that's kind of embarrassing and amazing at the same time, because I just put myself out there. But I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like when you can just have a natural conversation and just be who you are authentically, it makes video and speaking 50 times easier. You know, and then it's like, you don't dread it. You're just like, oh, let's have some fun. Let's share my message. Let's get it out there, instead of like, I got to put on a mask and do a performance and feel like really stressed about it.
Yeah. Because realistically, if you're too perfect, because I've got some friends that are truly as almost, you know, like perfect as you can get, right? And they're so distanced from everyone because they're unrelatable then. You know, so the more you're relatable, then people are like, oh, well, if she could do it, I could do it. Whatever it is that you're wanting to train them, teach them, help somebody with.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. Share with listeners how speaking is a powerful avenue to grow your business.
Oh, gosh. So like I said, it's like one to many, right? So say even here, we're on YouTube, we've got a podcast that you're going to post. You could hit people and help people that you personally won't ever know. And that's, I think there's been this big disconnect. You know, when I had retail stores, okay, that was in the 90s. Okay. I'm 53 now. So when you start seeing that spread of time back, especially in the early, you know, in the 90s. And so when you start having people walk in, you're meeting them in person, right? But when you're meeting somebody on YouTube, a lot of times you just maybe see a post from them saying, oh, wow, that was great. There's this disconnect that we think people aren't actually watching us, you know? Mm-hmm. And the reality is that you can connect to somebody just random. And a lot of times it's from somebody who saw you and said, oh my gosh, you need to know this person, right? And you may never know that person ever. And that's the crazy part, you know? I remember one time, I guess it was back about a year ago, I won an award at a big conference. It was the Texas Black Women's Expo. And I won. And so I walked out into the hall to do a TV interview. And suddenly this guy comes running up to us and we're live on TV, not knowing what he was about to say, right? He's like, Tonya changed my life. I'm like, dude, I don't know who you are, right? And so we finished up the TV show. I went over to him like, how in the world did I change your life? And he's like, oh, I saw you speak. You told us we could do anything we want, blah, 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 right? And he's like, and now I'm doing this, I'm doing that. My children are doing this. And I was like, wow.
That's awesome.
That's the power of speaking, is connecting to people you would have never connected to.
It's funny because my eyes filled up with tears just now, because it's that feeling of like, that's why we do what we do, right? Like, yes. That's why it's important to speak, is just show up and give other people permission to show up too.
Absolutely. And to be open to things that, I think the hardest thing is that we don't see our own brilliance, right? Mm-hmm. And so because we don't see our own brilliance, it's hard to imagine that we could affect other people's lives. Yeah. But every single one of us can change a life today. I mean, even if it's just, you know, smiling through a mask at the grocery store.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. You drop it for a minute and smile.
Exactly. So
but it's really extra special. But you're right. You know, it's funny you say that, because when I started YouTube, like, I mean, and even still, some of my videos have very few watches. And I'm like, if one person here's what I have to say and it helps them that day, even just that day, like, that's a big deal, you know? Yes. Like, that's a big deal. So, you know, for everyone listening or watching, like, do what you were brought to do and get out of your own way and stop worrying so much about what other people think. Own your brilliance. Like, that is a powerful message. And I think you're so right. We get so stuck in worrying about what other people think, negatively comparing ourselves to other people, you know, thinking we need to be something way bigger than just being you, you know? And then I love that quote about, you know, shining your light. Don't be afraid to shine your light so that other people don't shrink around you. It's funny, my quotes are not coming off very quickly and well today. But it's like that big problem where we go like, when you shine your light, you give other people permission to be brilliant too. And to me, speaking is one of those ways that's really powerful to share your message, share your story, and you don't need to be versed. Yes, you'll probably feel really uncomfortable at first, because it's just one of those things that you've got to practice. Most people are not born speakers. You know, it's a skill set, and you can practice and get better and better and better at it. So I love that you've taken on that quest to help people do that. Let's shift to networking, because I know you're a master networker and you've built an entire company around that now. Will you talk a little bit about, from your perspective, the power of networking and building relationships?
Absolutely. You know, so back in 2005, when I joined all these networking groups and everything, I started my own, and I turned into a statewide networking group organization. And one of the things that I realized, there was a couple things that kept presenting itself for the people that were successful. Okay. And so the biggest things that I noticed, that the difference between someone who would end up going out of business and going back and getting a job to the person who kept growing and kept achieving more, was relationships. That was the biggest, the connection factor. And a lot of times people just want to connect to anybody, and connecting to anybody, at least, is a movement.
Yeah.
But if you looked at connecting to people that especially have the same target market as you, it is so beneficial, because then you're not having to go hunt for new clients. They already have your new client. The problem for most people is they are users. Stop doing that. So you want to help the person that's helping you. You have to create win-win scenarios. So when you do, I used to use LinkedIn and Facebook and all of the social media platforms all the time, because I would see someone, they would be talking, when I owned the Public Speaker Association, I was talking about speaking. And I was like, oh, this person has a group of people who love talking about speaking, or who has something about speaking, or has entrepreneurs that would not be interested in speaking. So I would collaborate with that person on how could I help their community grow, and how could they help my community grow. And that's when everything just clicks, when you have that kind of synergy that happens when someone doesn't feel like, oh, you're just wanting something from me. It's a win-win scenario.
So good. So true. I love it when people reach out. I mean, you're one of those people. When we talked, it was like, let's talk and see how we can create win-wins together. It's not about like, oh, here, I'm just trying to sell you something or tell you how it is, because you're, much farther along in the business world than I am. And it definitely could have gone that way, but I can really feel your sense of like, let's build relationship and let's see how we can create wins together, and then even inviting you on the podcast, you're like, yeah, totally, I'm in. I love it. And so I think that, for people listening, it's a shift in your mindset and the way that you show up when, again, I think it's related back almost to that shifting toward the service relation, where you go like, yes, there's always a win for you when you're giving, because that's the reciprocal relationship that you create. And one of my pillars is, I love that you said win-win relationships, because one of my pillars of the way that I coach is win-win relationships. And so it's creating those joint ventures and connecting with other people who are like-minded, and then seeing how you can collaborate and do really fun stuff together in the business world.
Right. And a lot of times people get so stuck in, oh, I had, I tried that, and the person all just wanted me to do all this stuff and they didn't do anything for me. Okay. That's also a win, because you also find out who you don't want to do business with. So it's also a good thing in that respect.
Definitely. And then that teaches you the power of saying no.
Yes.
And for me, it's always an intuition thing too. Like I can feel it when someone's like you were saying, when someone's on stage and they're being fake and they're kind of selling at you, you feel it, so it's the same thing when I get a message from someone over social media where I'm like, wow, you really just want something from me. This is not about connecting in relationships. I think it's a super powerful skill set. Will you share a little bit I know we're going to talk about BeeKonnected, because that's really the foundation for you of why you created that. We'll go there, and then we'll dig a little into how to foster relationships, because I think some people, it's not that they have bad intentions when they do that. It's that they don't know how to build relationship in a networking situation.
Right. Yeah. A lot of times people go in, okay, this is what I want to happen, right? I want this person to buy from me. I want this person to buy my service, right? Well, that's just one sell then. And so a lot of times people, they hurt their business growth because they're always trying to one-off sell everything. So instead you look at reversing that for yourself and saying, okay, I'm talking here to Sue, and Sue, oh my gosh, she's brilliant. I love what she's doing. How can I support Sue? And then Sue goes and she tells me all about what she's doing. And I actually may end up wanting Sue's services, but maybe I don't. Maybe it's not something I need, or, I'm not ready for, or whatever. So then I'm like, well, who can I connect Sue to? So this is the way my brain works, is always who's Sue and who's her target market? And then who can I connect Sue to that will help Sue? And then when Sue gets done, this is Sue's opportunity to go, okay, tell me, Tonya, what do you got going on? And then I can go, oh my gosh, I got this and that, and this is what's going on, and I'm so excited about this. And then Sue should then go, oh my gosh, you need to know so-and-so, whatever that pertinent information that I wanted to get across to her. That's kind of the focus of, my exchange of information. And so say if I'm wanting to, when I owned the Public Speaker Association, I wanted a lot of speaking opportunities. So, I'm looking for a podcast. So you have to tell people what you're looking for. People are not good at coming up with things by themselves. But if you said, I'm looking for chambers and associations, they may know somebody that they can connect you to. They may know someone who knows somebody that they connect you to. So it may be, multiple avenues. A lot of times this happens with corporate trainers is, to get into a huge corporation, you can't just usually walk in and say, hey, I want to train for you. It's someone who knows somebody, right? That gets you into that opportunity. Yeah. So moving your business is really about that. What can I do? What do I need? Being really specific. And then what is the other person? And if they are unable to give you a specific where you can't still come up with somebody, drill it down. Are you looking for this? Are you looking for that? Try to figure out some people that makes it easy for you.
Yeah. I mean, that's such a valuable tip, because it's funny, because I've been on networking calls before where someone will say, what can I do for you? And my brain's like, oh, I didn't think of that. I'm just like enjoying connecting, but it is really powerful to go like, oh, I'm looking for speaking opportunities, or, oh, I have an online course that I would love to network and see where I can promote that. And just being able to be direct and then asking other people questions. When you were talking, it made me think of Miracle on 34th Street, when Macy's sends people to other stores, and then everyone loves Macy's, because it's that idea of like, oh, it's the goodwill of all. And that it'll come back tenfold, because you're actually thinking about what's good for all of us in this situation, not just for yourself. Absolutely. And so, it's like, I have now a networking list, it's like a get to know you. I have get to know you meetings. And then I write a list when I'm talking to someone, so that if I ever go, oh, I could connect this person, I have like a trigger where I can just search the word and then I connect people, and I think, and it's been such a fruitful experience. I mean, I've met the coolest, most amazing people and made so many connections just from that shift in my mind, exactly of that, of like, I don't need to sell everyone I talk to my coaching or my services. It might be that I'm just connecting to really amazing people that I've met in my history of networking.
Yeah, because a lot of times people don't realize a lot of it is about marketing to get to the people who need you, know? And so, and also kind of up-leveling yourself. Yeah. So many people, and it always drove me crazy, is that someone would say, oh my gosh, I just listened to this person on Facebook. They're amazing. I'm learning so much. And I'm like, well, are you having them on your show? What are you doing with them? They're like, oh, I've never spoken to them. And I'm like, so I'll reach out and say hello to the person and usually have them on my show, right? I mean, it's people, they don't understand that everyone is accessible. Whoever it is, everyone needs marketing. Everyone needs exposure. So totally. Everybody loves help. But if you come at it as, I want something from you, then they're going to shut down the door. But if it's, hey, can I serve you? Can I help you? Then anyone you can usually have a conversation with. And if they don't want to have a conversation with you, then they're probably not someone you want to do business with.
Right. Right. And you figure that out pretty fast. And I like what you're saying. It's like you're just planting seeds along the way, the whole way, planting seeds, making connections. And, I always think the power of your network is really the result of your net worth. It's just the more people the more people you affiliate with. When you're truly creating win-win situations, people remember you. You stand out, because a lot of times people are just in it for them. So I think awesome tips. Okay, let's go BeeKonnected. So I know this is the foundation of why you created BeeKonnected. So talk about what inspired you to create BeeKonnected, what it is, and what it offers to people in the networking world.
Yeah, so it's a lot of it is from the idea of, I met all these amazing people over the years, and I knew that they could change people's lives. They just would never know those people. I'm like, how sad is that? And so I was noodling and came up with the whole algorithms of dating software. I'm a little geek in the tech world. So I love that kind of geeky stuff where you could take those kind of connections that, dating software does so well, connect people together, and then magic happens. I'm like, oh, what if we did that with business questions? What if we did that, doing and bringing AI in? So it's always learning, it's always adjusting, it's always figuring out who's the best prospect for this person to talk to. And so that's where BeeKonnected came from. I immediately went to my friend JR and said, what do you think? Because I think a lot of times okay, so ladies out there, a lot of times we think we can do everything ourselves. Stop it. So you've got to reach out to people that are different and way different than you. So that way it could be a bigger business. It could have more legs underneath it. So my friend JR is incredibly strategic and business minded and analytical. And so I always go to my friends that are that way because they'll pick it all apart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once you come out and they're like, yeah, this is great, then you know you really got something that has legs. And so when we jumped in on it, and here we are in beta about to launch, now we're connecting with people. Some of the biggest players on the planet are coming to the table now because they see the difference. It's kind of like taking some of the other business social media sites and up leveling it, right? So that people, one of the things I learned also when I was networking and had my own networking groups is when I went from it's just a free networking group to it's paid, and it's paid a little bit more than the usual, you also eliminate a lot of the broke people, the I want everything for free people. If you're finding yourself saying those things to yourself a lot, is, oh, I can't afford that. You need to really look at, are you really looking at yourself as a business? Okay. And I know because I've been there. So these are things that I did myself is, oh my gosh, that's going to be, oh my gosh, if I have to pay monthly, that's going to be right. And I always thought about what it's going to take out of my pocketbook, right? That I won't have diapers for the babies, right? I always thought about what it's taking away versus what it's giving me.
Yeah.
And once I started spending money on my business and playing in those networking realms that are constantly upgraded just a little bit more than the other ones, what you started finding is then the prospects were the real relationships that you needed to really move your business forward. People who can afford you, people who had the connections you needed, the people that were successful, the people that were moving fast, right? Not the slow pace, I don't think anything's ever going to change for me type of people. I was done with those people.
Yep. Okay. That to me, everyone listening, watching, that is so powerful. You just said something that's really important. If you want to run a business, treat it like a business, which means you have to invest in your business. Like not an option. And, I'm a money mindset. Part of what I do is money mindset coaching. And it's exactly, if you're saying I can't afford it, that is what you're attracting to you in your prospects, people who can't afford your services.
I know, it's really kind of weird, right? Because this happened to me, I guess it was about a couple of years ago, is I started looking around. I was in back end of my website one day and I saw all the plugins that I was using, right? That I used every day in my business. And all of them were free because I said, except for one, I think. And I didn't really need to upgrade, but I was using somebody's efforts, right? Someone had created that for me to use. And I thought, I should be giving back to people. If they're helping me make money, I should be helping them. So I went and all of them had donations, right? So I gave everyone as much as the donation as I could, right? Because they usually had a max that they asked for. So I went and I paid that. And then I started going, what else did I have never paid for? And I just went in and I started paying for all kinds of things, even like the games on my phone. I would sit there and I'd pay in, oh, here, bingo, have some money, I started to pay for the people's efforts that helped me have fun or helped me in business or whatever. Suddenly my business exploded. It's all the shift in I'm a user instead of a giver.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's such that abundance mentality, right? Like, okay, I'm going to give, I'm going to receive, I'm going to give, I'm going to receive. And I'm not afraid that as I do that, I'm not going to have enough. Same thing, you were talking about investing in your business, you're paying it forward. You're investing in yourself, right? Like, I think investing in yourself is one of the best investments you can ever make. And then your business is a product of you. So it's like, pay it forward.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
And you're so right about the free networking events, or, people show up and then you walk away with maybe a stack full of cards, but then no quality leads of people that can actually pay for what you do. So So share, so you started there and you went, okay, like I want to create an algorithm, which I think is so cool because I would have no clue how to do that. I love that you geek out in that way. And you thought like, I want to connect and pair entrepreneurs who are serious together and who have, you know, certain specifications of what they want to be connected on that basis. So tell us about it. What, and I know because I'm a part of BeeKonnected, but I want to hear from the founder, what, you know, like how that evolved for you and what it offers.
Yeah, you know, so we went and I talked to some of my programmer friends. I said, we call it the connection generator. I need this thing to not only hum away where it's just automatically pairing, you know, 6-8 people that are like, oh, this is going to be amazing because they are already connected in some way. They have the same target market. They have the same whatever. There's something in their information, in their profile that connects the two of you together. But then we wanted to take it beyond that because one of the things that we understand is that who's tired of spammers and trollers? You know, done. I'm so done with it. So we also are ranking people so that way the company, it's really, yes, it helps our members see what people are saying about each other, but it really helps me as a company to get rid of the trolls, to get rid of the spammers, because people give them a low number, you know, 1 or 2, and then we can go to that person and say, okay, what are you doing? Do we need to kick you out? So that way we're kind of policing our own community.
I love that.
And then we were like, okay, well, what else can we do? And owning the Public Speaker Association, you know, I have a few friends. So I went to some of my incredible friends and I said, you are so amazing. You train people on some of the biggest things out there. I want you to train my community. And so we looked at what were people needing? Oh, well, they need to have an online business. COVID kind of, you know, brought that out to light. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I can't do business the same ever again. And so we were like, okay, online business, branding. A lot of times people don't really have, you think of somebody, you don't really know what they do because they haven't branded themselves right. We're not talking about logos. We're talking about who you are as a company. We've got e-commerce. We're launching a new Facebook mastery so you can actually know how to do those Facebook ads and how to use Facebook. I mean, you can't pass by the billion people on there.
Yeah.
And all of the other, you know, coachings and sessions that people get for, you know, included right now. And then we've got other benefits and we're constantly going to be adding new benefits. But to save you money, you know, we've got a top tier webinar platform that we're using right now that is normally,
that's why we're live, everyone.
So it's normally like a $200 a month that you're getting for $9.99 by the end of June. We're switching that in July.
That alone.
$12.99 a month. I mean, who cares? You know, $3 more.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all about that. Saving money, having fun, getting connected, and then also learning. You always have to continue to learn and grow.
Yeah. And I see at least what I've seen so far. So for everyone listening, when Tonya and I talked, I was like, ooh, this sounds really interesting. And then I'm always a person that I kind of sit with things and then if something else happens to send me in a direction, I'm like, okay, I'm a yes. So then I was on another conversation with someone and she's like, have you heard of BeeKonnected? And I'm like, okay, this is twice in 1 week. Or twice, it was like in a couple weeks. I'm like, okay, universe is sending me something awesome. And all of you listening know that I'm really big into manifestation, law of attraction. So when I have a good feeling about something, it tends to turn into gold. So, you know, like one of my favorite mantras is everything I touch turns to gold. And so when, you know, and for me, I get a lot of offers all the time, you know, in the world that I'm in. And it's often no. And then BeeKonnected, I like kept watching and I was watching the evolution and I'm like, okay, this is freaking awesome. And so I jumped on board. And then when I got onto my Zoom this week, I was like, how cool is this? Like I had all these new buttons on Zoom. I thought I had the biggest version of Zoom. I haven't started doing webinars yet, so I didn't have that part. And then I got on there and there were all these options for going live. And I was like, awesome. And that alone, I mean, you know, people are paying several hundred, I would say at least $50 for their Zoom a month. So that alone, you're already saving a ton of money. But here's the thing. So everyone listening, BeeKonnected, you know, it's like you're paying to be in a networking entrepreneurial community that is powerhouse. I've already made connections. I've already gotten podcast opportunities. I have people, I'm like, oh, let's do speaking collaborations, like awesome powerhouse network. So that for me, I mean, that's my plug for BeeKonnected. I'm like, oh, and then I see the opportunity. It's also an affiliate program. If you want to do that, you don't have to. But for me, I'm like, oh, this is a total no brainer. Like,
I know.
really incredible.
You know what? It always was surprising to me because I've always had multiple income streams. Back in 2007, I met a billionaire. His name was Bill. So I called him Bill the Billionaire. He didn't like it, but that's his name. So I sat down with him one day and I said, Bill, why are you a billionaire and I'm not? Because realistically, you are not that impressive. And he's like, well, no one's ever said that to me before. And but he was just a dude, right? And he says, because Tonya, I've got multiple income streams. So every time I do something, I look at what else can I create from that? And I think a lot of times people, they don't look at, if they're doing something, how else can they make money from it? It's not a bad thing. And I think a lot of times we get this head game of we need to stay focused. We need to do one thing at a time. No, branch out and have these multiple, especially affiliate programs and things like that. So I made a very robust one. So JR and I sat down and we're like, let's not play games. Like, don't do the network marketing. We're not bashing network marketing or multi-level marketing. Those are great for some people, but we didn't want to do that. We wanted to do a really clean 2-tiered affiliate program that is robust. So people could literally make, from a couple $100 all the way up to a couple million. So it really is up to them, the people who go out there and do amazing things.
Yeah. And I like that it's optional, right? It's like you can just join the network for the community, for the coaching, for all the free courses, for the Zoom, for like all the other benefits. But then there's that side piece where I'm already networking like every day, all the time. So to me, it's just a no brainer. And I don't offer it to everyone because to me, it's not a good fit for everyone. But then there's those people where I'm like, oh, you need to be tapped into this network. It's a powerful network. You're a powerful entrepreneur. This is for you. And so I think, that all of those parts to me and the multiple streams of income, I think if COVID taught us all something, one of those things is that you need to start building multiple streams of income so that you're diversified when things happen that are unexpected. And so for me, it's like, I'm always looking for the gold mine opportunities of things I love and I'm already doing, so it's not detracting my focus or distracting me from building my business because this is part of my business. I network all the time and I want to be networked with awesome, incredible people like you. So makes perfect sense. So I guess I know the link for the BeeKonnected, right? As I always ask, well, actually, let's ask this first. What are the top 3 max potential habits that you believe got you where you are today?
Being of service to others, connecting up. So always seeing who else I could connect to that seemed like, oh my gosh, I could connect to that person. And what's the third one? Always be willing to change. Don't always get set in your ways. And I created a little button on my computer that said, wow yourself today. And because a lot of times we do something that literally no one else would go wow to, but inside yourself, you just did something. You're like, I can't believe I did that. And so, definitely wow yourself every day.
That's awesome. I love it. It connects so well to your goal for the year too, right? Like you're always willing to change. You're going to have to be willing to constantly go like, okay, this year, if I've grown this much and I'm willing to change, I'm going to be a different person at the end of every year, a more empowered version of myself.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't change backwards. Change forward.
Yeah, that's a good point. We don't want that. All right. So for everyone listening, as I've told you, I am part of BeeKonnected. I see it as, those moments where you're like, I wish I would have invested in Netflix or Facebook or something along those lines. Like I see BeeKonnected going really huge because of the power players that I see getting involved and being a part of the team and the network of people that I already see there. I'm like, these are the people I want to hang out with. So for anyone who's interested, go to DrAmanda. That's me, DrAmanda.B, and it's B like a bumblebee, BEE and connected with a K, KONNECTED.com. The link will be in the show notes. The link will be on YouTube Live. I think the live video will post after this. I'm not certain, but if it does, I'll post that link there. And of course, reach out to me, DM me if you have questions. I'm super into win-win relationships. As we've talked about here, like I want to help people grow their businesses. I think that wealth building through a business, through multiple streams of income and through your network is absolutely the way to go. So reach out to me and ask me questions. And Tonya, you're awesome. I so appreciate you being here. I love learning from you, and I'm certain we're going to get to meet in person at some point soon.
Sounds like a plan. Let's go have a trip together whenever we get to actually travel again and sit on a beach or something.
Yeah, I want to get on stage, and I won't sweat because like I know how to speak now.
There you go.
And then we'll go to the beach too. Thank you. So thank you. I really appreciate your time, your energy, and all the awesome work you're doing in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here for another week of the Max Potential Habits podcast. I hope you have an incredible Max Potential week where you thrive and feel alive. All right. Let's see. I got to figure out how to stop the live and I have no idea how to do that. Oh, here we go. There we go. Stop.